There we go. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the 4th episode of our 6-part series with Universal Companies. We're talking about all things online marketing, and I'm Megan, the GSN Community Manager. And this episode, called Online Retail, is going to be heavily focused on Q&A. So I just want to encourage everybody, don't be shy to chat your questions in the chat. Joe Mckenna here from Universal is here to answer all your questions. So don't be shy. You can raise your hand too, and you can ask to speak. So definitely do that. We'll be back and forth the whole time. And I'm happy to have both Peter Pliszka and Joe Mckenna from Universal who are here. They're going to lead a discussion. So actually, Peter, you could take it away.
Okay, thanks, Megan. Yeah, thanks again for having us. Episode 4 out of 6. Our next 2 episodes are going to be on email marketing in 2 weeks, and then in 4 weeks we're going to go into social media marketing, which is I think everybody's either angel or devil. It's quite a topic. So today we're going to be talking about online retailing. In the last 12 months, a lot of the businesses that had restricted services or no services available for customers, they leaned on their retail to pick up the slack when it came to revenue. And they did it sometimes impulsively, sometimes with a good strategy. But it was really helpful to lean on retail as a revenue channel for businesses that were shut down. So to kind of set the landscape, in the 10 years before, leading up to 2019, we know online retailing was on an increase, slow but steady increase. And in the first 3 months of the pandemic, online e-commerce grew as fast as the previous decade combined. So we saw that there was a huge move to online transaction. And we know that once businesses begin reopening in 2021, later this year and into next year, the number probably won't be as high, but it'll never go back to the level that it was before. It'll always be super important. So today we're going to talk about how to. Joe's going to discuss how to make retailing online a permanent part of your business model, a pillar that you can really lean on when things may shift. So I'll introduce Joe. I've introduced him once before. He kicked off our series a couple of episodes ago. He is a seasoned entrepreneur, 15 years in the tech and digital marketing space. He is the co-founder of Indie Brand Logistics, which helps businesses sell more effectively online. He is the founder of CloudWise Academy, which teaches technology skills. He's the host of the podcast, The Being Found Show, which helps local businesses get found online. And Joe is the Chief Marketing Officer at Universal Companies. And I'll turn the show over to him.
Hello, everybody. Also, apparently, I had more hair when you look at the picture that my team chose to share. I can't tell am I sharing my screen right now?
Not yet.
Okay, so let me know. It seemed to want to share and then stop sharing. How about now?
Yep.
See a presentation?
Perfect.
Okay. So we're going to go through a lot here, and I'm going to probably avoid the whole discussion of whether it's important to do e-commerce or retail. And I'm just going to assume that at this point, we all know that e-commerce is here to stay, and it is something that has immense potential if we can figure out how to tap into it. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time kind of stating that case. And also, I've mentioned this before, I tend to leave my presentation open so that I can bounce, because I really want to promote everyone to ask questions. So if I need to go back to a slide or jump to another slide, I'm happy to let you kind of be in the driver's seat. So you'll see a lot of it like this. But we're also going to go into the internet. I'm actually going to show you websites and tools and things like that. So I won't actually be in this presentation for very long. And when I was putting this together, there were 2 things that I was struggling with. One is, how can I be helpful in 45 minutes? Because any single topic that we could talk about, you could spend days on. Because I mean, it's true that this is hard. Marketing's hard, e-commerce is hard. But the other dueling idea I had was, well, yeah, but how can I take away some of the roadblocks? How can I answer these complex questions without making it more confusing, but help to bring down some of the roadblocks that may be holding you back tapping into e-commerce? And I thought about, well, when I started, what would I have liked someone to help me do? Because I learned this all the hard way. I learned e-commerce the hard way, marketing the hard way. And what I wish someone could have told me were the guidelines. What are the management guidelines? What, you know, how many products should you launch with? Where should you spend your money? What tools should you use? You know, really, you know, give me a baseline. And then also, what are the tools the pros use? That was really what kind of opened the door for me to understand marketing, was when I figured out there's tools. There are actually tools that the pros use, and they don't want the rest of us to know about them. And those tools make everything a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to I'm going to try to show you guys the real tools and the real guidelines, but I'm going to use real world examples. And then the other thing I'd like to kind of start with is one of my first guidelines here, is that about 99% and maybe 100% in a lot of cases of the marketing advice that most us small businesses see online, whether we're listening to Gary Vee or we're watching YouTube videos or we're reading Facebook guidelines, because that's exciting and we all want to read about Facebook ad guidelines. Most that's national advice. That actually is not local business advice. It's actually different. Marketing locally and marketing nationally, those are two different strategies. You use all the same tools. You use search engine optimization, you use Facebook, you use Google ads, you use websites, you do use all the same things, but they're completely different strategies. And so when I'm going to talk to you today, I'm going to talk from the perspective of the local marketing strategy. And you know, feel free to just jump in and stop me and ask questions if I for some reason don't make something very clear. And then I'm not going to go into the slide too much, but I really wanted to just kind of make sure that the audience was aware that I am in a place where I work in the complex national advertising, but also Cloudwise Academy teaches local businesses in my local area. This is a local solution, but it teaches local businesses how to do marketing and coding for local. So I really live in both worlds. So I can intersect that and help bring context to either side for you. And then before we get started, the questions I'm going to answer are actually the ones that have been asked here that were sent over to us, which is not where I started. I kind of threw my team off a little bit because I told them what questions I wanted to answer to get started. And 2 days before this, I changed all my questions because your guys' questions were so good that I said, nope, I'm going to answer their questions. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm prepared to answer 5 or 6 questions here, unless you all start asking questions, because I will also stop answering these questions and I will answer the questions you ask. But if you don't ask any questions, that's fine. I've got plenty to go over and I think you'll be happy with what we can do here. So I said, ask questions. The next thing is I might go a little long if you guys want me to. I'm afraid that I have so much to share here. I may not make it in time. So I'll let you all decide that. And I already mentioned local marketing is different. And then I think in some of the other webinars we've done, we've tried to set up the case that the internet is set up to give local businesses the advantage over national businesses. And that's really important to understand as we go through this, because some of the questions that are asked are, how as a small local business do I compete with Amazon and the other stores? And the answer is, well, you got to kind of follow the rules that are set for local businesses, because the internet wants to help you. And I'm going to answer these questions from that perspective. Okay, so here's the questions I'm prepared to answer, with a few bonus questions I'll throw in. One is, how can I successfully have both services and products being offered on my website? I'm going to show you a real world example of that being done. Can you recommend a website that offers online sales, booking and appointments, or point of sale? I'm having a hard time choosing a platform. I'm going to go into that. What are good free apps to make nice pictures or advertising nice, neat, and clean? There's some amazing tools for that. Are there any resources to help learn how to write catchy marketing emails, Instagram captions for small business owners? Yes, there's really awesome tools for that. And I'll show you that also. Should I sell on Amazon? That's actually a question I can't answer directly for you. Every business really does need to make this decision. There are plenty of cases where it makes sense for local business to sell on Amazon. But what I'm going to show you is how you can decide if you should sell on Amazon. I'm going to show you how to take the mystery out of selling on Amazon and making that decision. So I'll show you a tool there that is very helpful. And then which marketing channel should I focus on? I really hope I get to that question. So I'm going to try to move as quick as I can, because that's a really important one. Where do you spend your money, and how, should you be making a whole bunch of Instagram organic posts, or should you run a Google ad? Where do you focus? Where do you spend your money if you have a limited amount of time and money, which we all do? Okay, so I'm actually going to move this out of the way, and we're going to go to the internet. So Megan, any questions or comments before I move on?
Not yet, but they're very thankful for you to offer us. Those are great questions, by the way.
I think so
Also
too.
different, also different topics. So great.
Yeah, my poor team. I had put a whole presentation together, and they liked it. And then I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not even going to do a presentation. And that didn't go well. Okay, so I'm actually going to show you a website. We actually supplied the products for this, so I have an intimate knowledge of how this worked. And this was a spa called Spa Vargas. It was a multi-location spa. It was a very successful spa. It was owned by Lori Vargas, which I think Lori might be on the call. She's fantastic. She ran a spa and was able to sell it. Well, Lori was cutting edge in actually bringing products and treatments together online, and she had a lot of success doing this. And I'm actually going to show you what she did. What Lori does now is she actually has grown into an education business. It's called 360 Wellness Education. And you actually find a lot of her business education, business advice education, and things like that on UCO Learning Network, which is our learning network. So thank you, Cutting Edge Lori, on this. And then Lori's cutting edge in a whole nother place now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer the question. This first question I'm going to answer is, how can I successfully have both services and products being offered on my website? Well, first thing we have to answer is, what should you use to build your website? You can use all kinds of things. There's WordPress, there's Wix, there's Shopify, there's all kinds of them out there. For this discussion, I'm going to recommend Shopify, and I'll show you some pricing and things like that too. Shopify right now is the leader in e-commerce websites for small businesses. And one of the reasons they're the leader is they're doing all the things that you don't want to think about. They're making sure that you're staying compliant in privacy laws. They're making it easy to connect to Facebook and Instagram. I would start, if you're thinking about adding e-commerce, I would lean towards Shopify as your solution. That's my advice. But in this case, I'm going to show you Shopify because that's what Lori used. And what Lori did here is, if we look at, I'm going to just kind of take us through 2 or 3 pages. What Lori did is she said, you know what, we offer products and we are a wellness solution for your services. So what she wanted to do is she wanted to make products and content and the services work together. So what we're looking at right here is her home page. On her home page, she would offer products, and she tried all kinds of different banners here, but she would offer, some kind of special or some kind of product. She would then bring in some of the content that either she was writing or she was syndicating into the site. And then she would bring her treatments in. So on the homepage, she was really giving a full breadth of a connection to kind of the whole wellness journey, both content, services, and products. And I really love this. And we got to see this all happening. We got to work with her on this. And so this was not her first version. This was something that came over time of kind of blending this complete idea. So you can take it a step further when you do something like this. And what she essentially did is she didn't have two websites. She didn't have a service website and an e-commerce website. She converted her e-commerce website into both, into a service website. Let's say that you weren't going to do that though. Let's say you already have a website. You're like, Joe, no, we're not going to rebuild an entire new website. Good, don't. You don't have to. You don't have to at all. I'm not suggesting you do that, because you know what you can do? You can actually use something like Shopify and use its shopping cart function. So what you're seeing here is the shopping cart function. And you can just link to this. So imagine if we had spavargas.com, okay, and if that site was built with WordPress or Wix or Squarespace or whatever you use to build another website, and then you create on that website a link to your shop, and you brand your Shopify site with your logo, and you put your products in it, and essentially it looks like the same website to the user. They go to your regular website for your services, and then they click on shop, and they're totally used to going to a shopping cart experience and purchasing products. So without creating a whole new website, you can still add products. But I want to show you how she did it. If you were going to elevate this to the question of how can I have both services and products offered on my same website, what she did is we've got shop. And she's got some categories that break down. I'm not going to get into those at the moment. And when she used the shopping cart function to include products and her services. So I think we're so used to thinking services should only show up on a page, kind of static. She took it a step further, and she actually made it a shopping cart experience to look at these services, and wove them in with products. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of ways. I'm going to answer some bonus questions here. So rather than actually buying that product, she's using the shopping cart function, but she's saying, book an appointment with me. She's not actually allowing you in this case to buy it, but she's displaying the products in a way that customers are used to shopping and comparing, right? And so this led to more engagement with both the products and the services as a concept. And you can start to do things with a website like this, where you might have the, and let me see if we did this. Yeah, so we've got related products or related treatments. So when you're looking at, let's see if it's there on this one. If we go here, and I'm looking at this service or treatment, I can have my related products that fit with that treatment that someone might take for their in-home care or to add to the service. So what I want to say here first is I love the idea of thinking outside what seems like the box of your treatments being a static page, and thinking of more as putting them in as a product and allowing the customer to relate to them along with products. And I'm going to take it a step further. The next thing that we can do here is pull the products out. So another thing that happened was the treatments or services were given their own categories in this. And I'm even going to go in and show you guys generally how this works. So it doesn't seem so overwhelming. So here we just have the treatment. So she's not confusing the buyer with products and treatments. She's just got the treatments. I'm going to skip forward though, because I want to show you guys something if I saved it. Here's a bonus question here. One of the questions was, what are some good apps? No, excuse me. How do I buy a booking software? How do I get a solution that is a booking software, point of sale, and website together? And my advice is don't. This is going to be one of those guidelines. The internet has rules and needs for how it wants your website to work. And it's a speciality that companies like Shopify stay up to date for you. So the website's always fast, and it's always the things that the internet needs. And that can be hard for a complete solution to offer what the internet needs and all your booking solutions and your inventory solutions and point of sale solutions. And so in this case, and I don't remember what it was at the time, but there was a booking solution and a point of sale solution that Lori was using. And when I clicked this button, it took me to that and it let me finish my booking, my online booking for this service. So she was using this to display the products, but that's not what was being used to actually process that booking and to manage that booking through until it was fulfilled. So I like that. Now this is going to go nowhere because again, the site's not live anymore. But what would happen is you would click on this and it would take you out to a booking software and you would finish that process. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is if I were going to like give you advice to make a wise decision, it would be that use the right tools for what they're most built for. And the internet needs you to use a robust software that really understands its needs. And Shopify will do that for you. And then pick another software that you connect. And I'm not talking complicated connect, but you do have to connect them. You connect so that they can finish their booking there in your booking treatment. So I feel like I have opened 1,000 cans of worms. Are there any questions?
One question about is Shopify, is it free?
It's not free. Now, here I anticipated that this is what we're going to get into. So I'm going to show you the pricing. I'm also going to tell you, I'm not telling you you have to use Shopify. I'm using this as an example. You can really follow the guidelines I've just given you with merging them together with any of the shopping carts. There's Wix, there's Squarespace, WordPress does it. You all might already have some that you're using. So don't think you have to use Shopify. Shopify just is, if you're starting fresh and you have the budget for it, this is a good, robust solution. You won't have regretted using this solution, compared to all of them. But please, they all work. All of those will work fine. In most cases, you would pay $29 a month. The real difference in going up in monthly fees is around how many people you add to the site who would have their own access and be adding products and things like that. And I find most small businesses can work with 1 or 2 people. And then you will probably add some apps or plugins that make it do some of the other features you want. So you probably will end up spending somewhere between $39 and $59 a month for the Shopify solution. But feel free to use any other solution if you're thinking about kind of comparing or bringing the treatments and the products together as an experience. The Wix, or excuse me, Squarespace, or another one called Duda. You write that down. Duda, DUDA.co. That has a wonderful shopping cart. It's very inexpensive, and it's really easy to use. Okay, any other questions before I move on?
Does the Shopify site, say you were starting completely fresh and you go with that $29 purchase, is that including, so you have a domain, say, like myspa.com, does that include the host? Do they host it for you? Or do you have
so for $29 a month, Shopify's website is hosted. That's another reason I like sites like this. WordPress is super powerful, but you've got to host it and you've got to update it and you got to run all the plugins. It definitely requires more manpower. So for smaller businesses, I recommend getting something that's hosted and all taken care of for you. You still have to buy your domain and you still have to pay your annual domain fee, which is probably $11 or something like that. But the actual software that runs your website, you get it all and it's all hosted for that $29. The other reason that I like Shopify, but again, any of these will do the same kind of thing, is what if you pick this right, what ends up happening is you get to focus on the things that you know how to do, or your team knows how to do. You don't have to focus on the technical jargon and junk. And with Shopify, there's zero coding you should have to do anything I've just showed you. But it really comes down to what you're looking at right here, for instance, is a product. Okay, so here's a product in Shopify. And this is going to be one of those guidelines I'm going to give you again. So bear with me on this one. What you want to think about when you're going to set up your Shopify site is, I want to fill out the product information completely. That's my key, is to fill it out completely. And all of a sudden, when you're even your services and your treatments, when you're thinking about it this way, all of a sudden you get a focus. I don't have to focus on whether I got to update stuff or what's it take to keep it going. I just get to put content in and really focus on it. And so you're going to focus on getting your titles in, your descriptions in, all that kind of stuff. You're going to focus on getting your pictures in, which you just all pop it into the back of these websites. There's no coding, pricing, all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to take you to a little guideline here. This right here, in any website you've got, this is one of those things, like, write it down. 99.99% of even the largest businesses don't know to do this. And I guarantee most of your competitors don't know to do this. But in every website, including Wix, Squarespace, WordPress, Shopify, there is a section on a product page. When you're entering the product information, there's a section called the SEO section. And what this is where you rewrite what Google's going to show. So here's the way this works, okay? When you come up here to the top, okay, this is the content your customer sees on their website. Guys, this is really big. This is really big. This is the content the customer sees. This is the content you use to get them to buy your product, okay? That is not the same thing as what shows up on Google, okay? So on Google, you've got to convince somebody, go down to a search engine one. You have to convince somebody to go from Google's website to your website, okay? And so what Google says is, hey, you know best what it takes to get someone from my website, I'm Google, what to get from my website to your website. And so Google says, I'm going to let you rewrite that. I'm going to let you say what goes best on my website, what goes best on Google to get people to your website. So you fill out your content for your product, and then you come down to here. It's in every single one of your site builders. And you say, you know what, what's the best thing I need to say to get someone to click over to my site? And you need to finish filling this part out. This would be, not doing this will be one of those things that 5 years down the road, you'll have found out about this and go, oh my gosh, I've wasted so much time and chance to bring people over to my website by not doing this. Because this content right here that's built to sell to the customer, and this has not been optimized, that's why I'm showing you this. This content, Google is basically having to guess what of this to show to its customer to convince them to go to your website. And Google doesn't know best. So you need to come back in here and re-edit this and change this, okay? Okay, so I also, how do you connect it to? So I went over that. So another question here related to that, or that I wanted to connect the dots here, is that with Shopify and other sites, but Shopify is best at this, you can actually connect your product to your Facebook shop or your Instagram shop or your Messenger. You actually can plug this in, and it comes in Shopify. What you do is you come over here and you just click this, and you're going to add it. I'm going to add this, and it's going to integrate with eBay, say, or it's going to integrate with Facebook. And now Facebook shop has the same products, and the inventory and pricing and content is all being controlled by my Shopify site, but it's also in my Facebook site. So why does that matter? Well, it matters because of this. I don't know if you've all seen this, but this is a great kind of visualization of what's going on. This is actually a map of the internet. And as I zoom in, you can start to see something here. This map is truly a map of how the internet relates to itself. And the larger the circle, the more audience that website has. And then the closer a circle is to the bigger circle, the more related it is in content or by linking. And so you can see here that, and this is in the billions of people, you can see here that Google is obviously the dominant force. So you have to show up in Google if you want your e-commerce and retail to sell. However, there are these other planets out there in the universe that your user does not directly find as a relationship to each other. And so when you can start to connect those dots with easy tools like Shopify, I'm not saying it's, it takes work, but when Shopify has done something like this, where they'll allow you connect your products and offer that same product when someone's looking in Google and when someone's communicating with you or looking in Facebook, that is a big win for you. And this is kind of a fun map to look at because you can keep zooming in and keep seeing kind of the idea or size of the different sites that you might be familiar with out there and how they relate to each other. So I hope that helped. This is kind of a visualization that helps me realize that the internet is it's not just one thing, it's a series of audiences, and your job is to kind of tap into those audiences as you can. Again, there's plenty here. So if you never can tap into Facebook, it's gonna be one of those little tips. If you never can tap into Facebook, that's okay, because there's still a huge audience here, right? So it's okay to get this right and then connect to Facebook. You don't have to do it all at once. But I just want to make sure I went over that. Okay, questions?
Yeah, few. That's a really cool map, though. I've never seen that. We'll definitely be looking at that. A quick question about what about Woo? Is that maybe WooCommerce?
Yeah, WooCommerce. So WooCommerce is probably where I started. Well, no, it was .NET Nuke or .nuke. So yeah, WooCommerce is incredibly powerful and it's wonderful. It is a word-based or WordPress-based plugin. So the way it works is you have to maintain a WordPress site and then you connect WooCommerce. If you already have a WordPress site and you're used to running a WordPress site, WooCommerce is a great thing to add to that WordPress site in order to start selling e-commerce. It's a wonderful plugin and it is super powerful. It can be hard. The caution, the managerial advice, if that's a word, that I would give you is if you're not already working with WordPress or WooCommerce, that's a big mountain to climb to start selling e-commerce product, because it's an incredibly powerful tool, those two technologies together. But you would not be disappointed if you're used to WordPress and start using WooCommerce.
And another question about when I think you were talking about the SEO edit, when you edit the content, do you have a quick example to show of one that was done well?
Well, let's look here. I mean, I didn't prepare for that. Actually, a lot of these aren't really done well. Why aren't they done well? You want to kind of give a person a reason that it's your site that matters. So you're going to rewrite this title so that it's crystal clear what this is, what this product is, right? And then this should be crystal clear, and you got to do this in a sentence or two, but this should be crystal clear that you have this wonderful candle and they can get it from you, or come here to find out more details about this wonderful candle, or you want to think of this as starting a sentence that finishes on your website. And if you go Google some of your products you really love, you'll start to notice what you read in Google that said, yeah, you know what, the way that was written got me over to this product page. And if you start looking at that, you'll start to recognize how you might do that. I will be honest, writing copy at all these different levels is, it is an art, and it's a science too. So this is one of those things where I know I might be opening a can of worms and exposing something that's very complicated and maybe causing some anxiety, but I want you as business leaders to know that this has to be done. And so at least now you can talk to your team or your customers or someone who might be helping you write and say, what do we think about this? At least it's now part of your conversation to start managing towards it. But it's going to take some work to figure out how to do it right. How is this going? Because I'm just scared to death I'm going to overcomplicate things. Is the audience, you guys liking it?
How do you feel,
Is it
guys?
helping?
Love.
Okay. So I want to show you another tip that the pros use. Okay, so let's go into,
love it.
huh?
Love it, good, love it. So
Okay.
Good.
So here's a management tip. I'm going to show you a tool. This is going to make your life very easy. It's going to help a lot. And I'm actually terrible at copy and content. And even I can successfully occasionally put out a reasonably decent post. Peter and Camille might argue with that, but and it's because of this tool. So I'm going to show you this tool from the perspective of how you can use it to make your own posts. But the management tip I'm going to give you is you can also use this for other people to make your post. I find probably the hardest part of working with a team or paying someone to create something for me is finding some kind of common ground where we have an example of what I'm looking for or what I'm thinking. And so with this tool, you can actually see examples of what you had in mind. And I'm going to show you kind of how to do that. And then when you go to speak to your team or someone who's helping you, you go, you know what? I wanted to make a social post like this, only I want a picture of my, special lotion in here instead of this person. And it can all be done. So what you're going to see is two things: how to actually use this tool, but also how to use it as a management tool. Okay, so this tool is called Canva. It's called Canva, and it's at canva.com. And I do have pricing, so I'll go over that in a minute. Essentially, what Canva does is it first starts solving all the hard problems, like which size should I make an Instagram story? Oh, hold on, I got to move that so I can show that up. What size should I make an Instagram story? Well, with what you just saw me did is I just went up here to templates and I went Instagram story, boom. Well, now this is it. This is how the size should be because it's already done it for me. Then what happens next, and I'm actually going to use an example here. What happens next is I can click on that and I can go, I like this. I may not be wanting exactly that bottle, and I may not want to say exactly what this text is, but the feeling of this I like. And so I can go like this, and now I am totally editing this in like the most simple possible way you can imagine, and I'm going to jump a little bit here, which even includes images. Like if I want an image, I can just pop it in, I can move it around like that. I can put another one in, move it around like that. And now that's in there. This thing is a designer's dream, and it's kind of laying it all out. I find another thing that's hard to do is figure out what colors go together or what images go together. And how much text should I put when I'm trying to write something fun and snappy? And again, I can go through and look at these templates and get examples, and then I just come in and I change the words, right? I just change this, and I've just now made my own. But I'm going to show you something else here. I'm going to go backwards for a second. Just changes, and I'm going to go to Instagram stories. And so the question is, what are good free apps to make nice pictures or advertising nice, neat, and clean? All right. So I'm going to go back to that. I search. And that's the one I was looking for. So that actually also, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there's music in the background. It also animates and puts video together for you. And so I can just come in and change these pictures or these videos. And I have 90% of this already figured out for me. I just come in and make my little changes. And then, gotta move this, then I can just download. Now I'm not in the paid account, so it would ask me to to pay if I wanted to do some formats. But now I can just download this, and this is now what I can upload to Instagram. And it's got all kinds of templates. It's got Instagrams, it's got business cards, it's got posters. I can go and pick a poster, use this template, and I can change these things. I can change it to a different poster. Then I can change that one. It's got incredible search functionalities. It's got incredible text layout functionalities. This thing, I mean, we've had in the past, I've had team members go, well, but I was trained to use really complicated software. If I do this, what do you need me for? Like, no, you're incredibly talented. If you use this, you're actually going to be able to do more and faster for me. And then that's what they find out, that it just opens the door to be able to move quicker. So Canva is an incredible tool when it comes to making great pictures or stuff like that you can share. Any thoughts or questions before I share a little bit more of this?
A bunch of wows. Is this well, I think they're wanting to know about price.
Yeah, okay, so I was gonna go to price. So there is a free version, which you saw me using. And I would say, go start using it now. This is one of those, like, if I could stop, I almost thought about stopping the presentation here, because the ability to create social posts, social ads, emails, business cards, you name it, in a way that doesn't require a complicated software is, worth its weight in gold nowadays when content's king. So I almost stopped here because it's that important. But so anyways, you've got a free version. I actually use the paid version, and I pay the $12.99 a month. I don't do the annual one because I don't know if I'm going to change my mind. The big difference on the paid one is you can set your branding. Also, I don't think you can download transparent backgrounds, which is what you need for logos and things like that, unless you do the paid version. And then I've never come across a reason for the enterprise. So it's very affordable. Thoughts, questions?
Thank you.
So what that does is that kind of answers two questions. What are good free apps to make nice pictures or advertising nice, neat, and clean? And then another one is, are there any resources to help learn how to write catchy marketing emails and Instagram captions for small business owners? Again, I say that Canva is a major part of that, because it sets the context of how you might, it's easier for me to imagine what I might say if I have something to work with. So for when it comes to writing catchy marketings or Instagram stuff, I come to this and look a lot of templates, and I might figure the words out. Like I might see this and go, okay, I see this, what might I say here? Or I might click something neat like this and go, what if I change this and, maybe move this picture around? So to me, starting with something, but then again, also talking to your team with something like this makes it easier too. But there's another step to writing catchy captions and good content and all that. And that's this. Like I assume everyone in the world's heard of Gary Vaynerchuk. He's all over the internet, but he did something just incredibly helpful that I think every single small business should go look at. One thing about this guy is he'll tell you what he knows. And a lot of what you see on the internet, I had mentioned before, is all either national, or they don't really want you to know the truth. He wants you to know the truth. And so he put a 270 slide deck together, and I'm just going to show you a couple slides to give you an example. And this slide deck is the way he makes 64 different types of content. And the reason this is so incredible, because even after doing this for 15 years, I probably didn't think of about 40 of them. There's about 40 ways that he makes content that's just so neat and incredibly valuable and easy to do. So one of them, for instance, is creating a tweet. So he creates his tweet, which we all know how to do that. I'm trying to get to it. I pass it. So he creates a tweet. All right. And then let me see if I can get to it. And then he screenshots the tweet and posts it on Instagram. Like I never would have thought to do that. Maybe you guys have all thought to do that. And so he goes through 64 different ways that he uses as tools to create content, and he creates 64 pieces of content a day for his audience. Now, I'm going to advise you don't need to do anywhere near that, and I would be careful on focusing on organic content. It's going to be one of those management tips. Social ads, Google ads, SEO, things like that is where you should start focusing, because organic content is just a long road to pull and it takes a lot of work. But if you're going to do it, this is just a wonderful business tool to figure out, and I'm trying to get to just figure out what he's done in all the different ways he comes up with to just create amazing content. So look into that. And you can find that, you can actually Google, and my team will probably give you the links to this stuff too, but the GaryVaynerchuk.com, how to create 64 pieces of content in a day. You can also type in like Gary Vaynerchuk presentation. It's so famous that just typing Gary Vaynerchuk presentation will pull up these slides. Any thoughts or questions before I move on? How much time do I have?
Like 15 minutes.
Okay.
13.
Any, we still doing okay?
Yeah, we're doing great. No questions so far. I think they're just absorbing.
Okay. Is it too much?
It's not too much.
Too much. Okay, so another thing to think about, this tool is called Soovle, Soovle. And with this tool, you can put in a topic, and then it will tell you what keywords are being used in different platforms. So why do you care? And what does this have to do with writing catchy Instagram and things like that? Well, for one, anytime you hear the word keyword, throw that word away. Instead of it, think of it as an intention. Somebody had an intention to find a massage therapist near them, or a massage chair, or a massage gun. They were trying to solve something. And so what you're really seeing here is market research into the intentions of your buyers and your consumers, whether it's for products or your services. So if you step back and you put in, say, massage and say Soovle it, and you'll click that little button, Soovle will return these things. And you can start looking at them and go, you know what? If everyone's looking for a massage near me, what if I did a snappy post about a map and where I'm at on the map? Or what if once a week I did an Instagram post of something of note that's geographically near me, and then I let people know where I'm at, right? You start to get creative when you can see what your buyer's intentions are. But you can also start figuring out how you want to connect your products to those intentions, right? If I see, which I'm sure is no surprise, that massage oil and massage table and those kind of things are showing up a lot, and people are intending to find those. But you can start going, okay, well, I wonder how I can work that into the content I'm going to put, because it's an intention that they're after. And you might do a Facebook post or a Facebook ad that says, don't have a massage table at home, come on in for treatment, or something like that, where you can actually start using it. So Soovle and other marketing tool research allows you to step back and think about, what are you going to share with your audience aligned with their intentions? So it's almost like you need to realize that you need to be relevant to your audience before you ever go making anything in Canva, because you kind of want to have an idea of what they're thinking, and then you start putting that together. But tools like Soovle, they're helpful, but you're getting the same kind of information when you're talking to your audience and you're talking to customers, or you're reading similar stuff on Facebook. The point I wanted to show you here is that there are intentions. You should know what they are, whether you're getting them from a tool or you're listening, and then that's what you make your creative or snappy or catchy post about or content about. Okay, go on. I've got that one. Should I sell on Amazon? We got to talk about that. There's really a couple things to think about before I go into that. One is, you should know that if you're going to sell a product that you don't own the brand of Amazon, that you probably need to go get permission from the brand to sell it. Amazon has created an entire infrastructure to help brands manage who is selling their products online. And so just because you have inventory or just because you have the product doesn't mean you can sell on Amazon. What'll end up happening is you might invest in putting it in Amazon and then find out that they won't let you. And actually that brand owner can tell Amazon to shut you down. And you just lost all of that energy that you're putting into it. And I find that mistake a lot where a spa thinks because they have the product and Amazon sells product that they're allowed to do it. And it's not the case. You really do need to check with the brand. Now, not all brands manage, and you might get lucky and you can sell it and nothing happens, but you need to deal with that risk. If you own the brand or it's a local brand that you're partnered with to help sell, now that's a different thing. That's where you can put Amazon to work for you. You don't have to worry about the brand shutting you down. And so when you go to do that, there's a tool that you should use. And again, this is one of those ones where, if it were me and I had a small business, I probably wouldn't start on Amazon because I've got the scars to tell you how hard Amazon is to deal with. It's almost a full-time job keeping products in Amazon. But the, kind of the wonderful thing about entrepreneurs is, so what? If something's hard doesn't mean we're not going to do it. We still may try, and we probably will succeed. So I don't want to talk you out of it, but it does burn a lot of energy, and statistically, you're probably going to have more success focusing on marketing in your local area, via your website and ads and things like that. But let's say that you still want to investigate if you should sell on Amazon. I'm going to show you a tool so that you can figure that out yourself. So again, I use scented candles. I went to Amazon and I searched for scented candles. And then I'm going to use this tool right here. This tool is called Jungle Scout. And you can go Google it, Jungle Scout for Amazon. And my computer's locking up. Do that again. I tested Jungle Scout over and over again to make sure that it wouldn't lock up when I was on the call, and now it's locking up. I wonder if it's locking up because I'm sharing my screen. There we go. There we go. Okay, so here's what just happened. I used Jungle Scout. This is not free. It costs, I don't know, $20 or $30 a month. It's a extension that I put in Chrome. You can go to the Google store and get the Jungle Scout extension. And what it just did is it just crawled that page that you just saw of the scented candles. And it's now telling me things about this page. It's telling me what the product is and what that content looks like. It's telling me who the brand owner is. It's telling me what the price is. Now, the price is something very important to recognize, is when you look at the price, what that means is that's the winning price. That's the price that Amazon said that, yes, this seller can sell at this price, which means you can't sell for more than that. No one's going to buy it for more than that. Amazon's not going to let somebody buy it for more than that. So this is one of the first things you have to look at to make your decision. Is your candle or a candle like yours around this price? Because you won't win if there's other candles that are that same brand on there, unless you're that price or less. You won't be able to sell it. But also likely that's going to be with the restricting point of, the pricing for the products like it. This is the price people are used to spending. So your calculations have to start around here. The next thing it's going to tell you is in volume, how many of these are being sold per month. It's going to tell you in volume how many are being sold per day. It's going to tell you how much money is being generated by these. And it's going to tell you how much you net after Amazon takes its cut. And so in this case, this is what the seller is netting at that $18.99. Amazon takes a hefty chunk. So when you're deciding if you're going to sell on Amazon, you have to kind of do this research on the pricing, the total volume, the potential volume, and what you're going to net to see if it's worth it, so you don't get yourself in trouble. And then this also gives you a score up here of whether you even should do it. This is essentially telling you if there's an opportunity and how high is the competition for that opportunity. And what this does say is that it's high demand, but it's also high competition. And so it gives you a score of 4. And 10 would mean it's an awesome opportunity. 1 means it's a terrible opportunity. And so this would tell you would have to be pretty savvy to get your products to sell successfully on Amazon in this space right here. And you can do that for anything. You can search over and over again all kinds of different products and go up here to Jungle Scout and do that. If you're going to invest in Amazon and you want to try this, you need to take a step back and do some research before you start on it. So that would be my advice to selling on Amazon. Any thoughts or questions before I go on to the last question?
So I feel like that's the con, and I guess the pro why people do that. It's kind of like they're marketing for you. Like a lot of people are on Amazon, right? It's like
Yeah,
you're
and
paying for them. You know, they're paying. People are. It's like the Walmart of, or the Target of online, right? So, and a lot
yeah,
of people have Prime accounts. So I feel like it's a hefty price, but I guess that's what you're paying for. They're already there.
yeah, no, that's true. They already have the platform. And so you get to tap in. And that's why I'm saying, I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm saying educate yourself, because it's got pitfalls. And then you have to recognize that Amazon's in business for Amazon. And so it's going to help your competitors as much as it helps you on Amazon. So you're kind of stuck by playing by the rules, which again, you can be successful. But you have to ask yourself, and this is where I'm going to get into the marketing channels. That's a great question, Megan, because it leads me to the marketing channels. You have to ask yourself, with your time and energy and money, where do you start? Like, where do you build out? And this is where national marketing and local marketing, this is why you kind of got to look at it 2 different ways. So if I'm talking to some spas right now and you have a national presence, or you have the budget for national, then that's a different discussion. But if you're the spa, and this is really who I'm talking to, is the spa that doesn't have the budget for national, or you don't have multiple national locations, then you really need to leverage that local advantage first, right? Because that's where you're playing unfair. See, in Amazon and in national campaigns, you're at a disadvantage, but locally they're all at a disadvantage, and it's you and your other local competitors that now have the advantage. And so that's actually why, really the big takeaway, again, entrepreneurs, you guys can break every law and every rule out there to find success, and you do, right? I don't mean legal laws, but like physical laws. You figure out how to be successful. I just want to kind of give you a guideline of what statistically leads to marketing success. And there is an order to how to approach that. So, and I'm going to show you that with an example. First off, I have to tell you, this is not Universal Companies numbers. This is a sample I took off of Google. I literally Googled a report to give you an example. So this is just a sample report. And what you're looking at here is Google Analytics, which is a reporting tool. It's really the premier reporting tool for reporting on what's happening with your website, whether it's the traffic, the sales, just all that's happening on your website. Google offers a free tool. 99% of websites use this free tool. So it's Google Analytics. We could teach you a whole course on just how to even turn it on. It's complicated, so I'm not going to get into that at this point. But what you're seeing here are the channels. This is the marketing invested in channels right here that lead to things like traffic, interest in the site. Here's how many pages people look at, and revenue. Okay, so that's a columns we're going to look at. Here's how many people came to this fake site, and here's the revenue that came from that traffic. And these are the channels. These are the ways they came in. Well, after looking, at the back end of websites or reports like this for going on 15 some odd years, this is almost what I see every single time of a successful website. It's in this order. The order is organic search. So that's when someone Googles you and you did not pay for an ad. I almost always see that at the top. The next thing I see is paid search. That means you paid for an ad to show up in Google. The next thing I see is social, which likely means you paid for an ad to be in social that drove this traffic to the website. The next I see are people who knew who you were and they directly went to your site. They typed in your domain. They knew to go to your site. There's always another, which just means that the tool can figure out who's who. Then there's referral, which means someone referred you, that I was on a local friend site and I saw something interesting and I clicked over to this other site and bought something. That's called referral traffic. So that's typically in this order. And then emails normally around here. And then display is actually a part of paid search. So why do I go over this and why do I show you this? Well, it's because this tends to be the winning formula for local businesses. And I actually want to talk to you about why this order makes sense. Why do you see investments pay off in this order? And I kind of want to show you that and help set a framework for how to look at marketing and how you tackle marketing. Okay. And I'm going to try to do this in a short period of time. I went long. Are we okay to go long?
Totally fine. We need it.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay. And I just really feel like the audience, I almost want to do a presentation just on this because I watch so many small businesses. I mean, almost 100% of them. And they see some tip or advice or see someone else being successful at something and they think that's what they have to do. You know, they have to go do Facebook posts or they have to do Instagram posts and they have to invest all their time and energy. And that's the way that they're going to be successful at marketing. And the truth is all those things do matter, but they have an order that they matter. And I thought of the way I could explain the order they matter is if we look at what do these labels here mean? What do these marketing channels actually mean? And they actually mean something when you translate it to what your customer's doing. So here's what I mean. Organic search, which is someone Googles you, if somebody came to your website through organic search, it's because they're actively trying to solve a problem, okay? If someone went to your website because of paid search, again, it's because they're actively trying to solve a problem. If someone came to your site from social, they were not actively trying to solve a problem. They were made aware and were interested in what they were made aware of, right? They saw an ad, they saw a post you did, and they went, oh, I'm interested in that. So you've made awareness, and that's important. You have to do that. The next is they know who you are. So this is direct. This might be if you have billboards or if you run local advertising or you're really active locally, people will go look you up and go directly to your website or you give them a business card, things like that. Another one is the referral that I talked about. Well, this meant someone was on another website and saw something that interested them enough to come to your website. So what happened is they were sent by another website. Email means that they're responding to an activity you did. And that's why you'll see this tends to be less because it's limited by the activity you can do. And then the last one is related to kind of like social and it's display, which I ignore because it hardly ever does anything. But that's when you, again, being made aware and interested. So when you look at spending your money, time, and resources, who would you invest in? What activity would you invest in when it comes to your customer base? Me personally, I want to make sure every customer that's actively trying to solve the problem or looking for me or looking for my services, I want to make sure I'm in front of them, right? And so I personally would focus here. However, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't let the world know about you. And so there should be some portion of investment in the social platforms and things like that to make people aware of you so that they can become more interested and find out about you. And this is where you can educate them and things like that. But again, would you want to focus all your time and energy here and have completely left this group out? And this is the mistake I see most businesses making is they completely leave this audience out to just focus on this audience alone. And I know it's complicated. I know it's hard. You're right. But as a business owner, I believe in trust that if you know the priority level, you'll figure out how to make it work. And that's what we're trying to do is give you as much as we can the information to help make this matrix right here make sense. I think I'm done.
That's awesome. It's so great to end with this because I think it really gives you a percentage too of where to focus your time in, like money. You can kind of break this down in percentages. Okay, like 30% I do this, 5% I invest in this.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And we do that at a high level, in our more complicated situations. We do break this kind of stuff down. It could be a little harder as a small business to really put an amount to it. And so, what I say is just make sure that you're putting efforts into them in an order. So if you're, I would say if you're doing your organic search and you're doing your paid search and you're worn out of time, money, and energy, that's okay. Stop there then, and keep doing it until you can make the time, energy, and resources to take the next step, and then go to the next one and go to the next one. Don't start in the middle. And here's another reason for that. If you think about this, if you've gone through the hard work to make them aware and interested, you're sharing social posts and you're doing all those kind of things, what happens when they go to Google to find out more about you? Because they will, you all do, we all do. And so if you didn't get this first part done, then you've left a gap. The other thing is all of these others down here support these two. So if you've got them going right and you're kind of starting with your energy and activity there in your local market, because you can make, so all this is local, in your local market, all the other work you do actually just makes your paid search and your organic search work better, because it's completing the story when they read your email or they're referred from another site or they saw your display ad or social ad, etc. So it's a foundation to start from.
Quick last question. Do you have any tips for resources for writing copy for a blog post?
Yes. So Grammarly, I personally need Grammarly. My team will tell you that. Grammarly is an app. Do you all know about that? Megan, do you know of Grammarly?
Yeah, I see a lot of their ads.
Yeah, Grammarly is great because you can set the tone. You can actually set, do you want to be very educational? Do you want to be helpful, neutral? And it'll actually help you form your content. So, I would start there. As far as if you need help, like writing and structuring it in a way that comes off like you're hoping. And then other than that, I would advise everyone to at least try something like Fiverr. Fiverr or guru.com. And I'm going to tell you the secret to this. I would try this, even if it's just a place to just test spending a little bit of money. Fiverr and guru.com and things like that, those are places where you can hire freelancers. And I know everyone can get scared of freelancers because it's hard enough to manage someone close to you. But you can go look for freelancers who are good at writing blogs, who are good at writing social posts or emails. And what you can do is you can go on those sites and you can see reviews of how they did and what kind of copy they write and all that. And you actually find help that's incredibly affordable. And if you take this step right here, where you're going to just test, you're actually don't care if they really write your blog post. You're going to pick 3 or 4 of them that you read their profile or you see their content and they're cheap. They're $20, $10, $15, something like that. And you say, I'm just going to try having them write a blog post, or I'm going to have to try that helping me write a blog post as an expert and see how it goes. What you'll end up doing is, with very little investment, you'll start to find yourself a group of people who can help you do these things. Because the one thing, the big advice that I would start all of this with is technology and all of these tools and everything you see, they're worthless without the people. It is truly the people. The reason I've been able to scale in my career and the reason we can do so much is because you really do have to have people helping you. And Fiverr, guru.com, and places like that is a low risk way to start to find the people that can help you do these things. Because I think as a small business, we're so afraid to spend that money or waste that money that we forget, and it's so cliche, but we forget that our time's worth 10 times as much. And so if you can test a few of these freelancers and you find someone who jives with you and gets it and can help you write stuff, it'll be the best thing you ever did.
Such valuable information. Awesome. Thank you, Universal, for giving this awesome information each week. Joe, second time around, totally awesome. And we're recording this, so we'll have a recording available tomorrow because you guys might want to go back and look at all the slides again. And I think next week we'll have email marketing on March.
Yeah. In 2 weeks, we've got email marketing. And even though it's number 7 on this list of where to focus your efforts, you know, as you guys know, email is where you're having the conversations. It's where the relationship is getting deeper with your customers. So it's a really important thing. Once you get a relationship established, you know, being smart about how you email, what you email, when you email, is really, really important to keeping relevant with your customers. So we'll see that in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Thanks again, Joe.
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for putting this on, and thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.